and welcome to another episode of Social Workers Rise. Today, we're going to be talking about a common problem that haunts all new social workers. When you're applying for jobs and the job says you need experience to get more experience, and you're like, well, shoot, how does that work? We're going to be talking about strategies that you can use today, starting right now, that can help with this problem. I want you to make sure that you have something to take notes on because I'm going to be dropping gems in this episode. Okay. If you don't know who I am, my name is Catherine Moore. I am a LCSW based out of sunny Southern California. I have been social working since 2009. Currently, I have special courses designed specifically for social workers. I have a clinical supervision log for new graduates up on Amazon. We have this podcast. I also do therapy with adults and older adults. I do public speaking engagements. So I keep myself busy. Also, oh yeah, the podcast too, by the way. If you like the podcast, make sure to subscribe to it. That way you get notifications of new episodes coming out because there are some gems. If you haven't had a chance to go back, browse some of the episodes. There's a ton of episodes. I've been doing this since 2020, just making episodes. And it started as just me sitting on the couch wanting to share my experience and create a community of social workers and to give a platform for social workers to share their voice and to stay informed on what's going on in our industry because sometimes it can be a lonely world out there. And I don't want that for you, my friend. I want you to be better, do better, and succeed quicker than it took me. So I'm so glad that you're here. Today, we're going to talk about this experience paradox around how do you get experience if they're asking for more experience, right? We need a job to get a job. We're going to reframe how we're going to look at what they call, quote, experience. And I'm going to give you 4 strategies that you can use immediately to help position yourself in a way to get hired and to hopefully get a better job than what you're doing now, or a job if we just need a job, because I've been there too. So if you've ever been passed over for a job because you don't have enough experience, we're going to talk about how to reframe, build, and communicate your experience without having you burning out or waiting years to have this happen. First of all, I do want to acknowledge that I'm not a hiring manager. I'm just speaking from the perspective of somebody who has been an intern. I've been a new clinician. I've been job hunting in a tough economy where jobs were cut and it was hard. And I'm also a supervisor and therapist that's watched this pattern over and over again. And there's a really big mindset shift that needs to happen here because a lot of times, and maybe you're experiencing this, that we tend to discount our own experiences and we tend to discount our skills. And we're so humble, which is a beautiful thing, my friend, but not in this case. We want to be realistic, right? So we're not bragging if we're sharing facts. So I want to be able to reframe this for you so that you're able to confidently share these facts in the experience that you have in order to help the interviewer understand the value that you bring and the amazing, talented, growing clinician that you are. All right. So hopefully this helps you to kind of navigate the stage with more clarity and confidence. So first, the big problem here is when you look at a lot of job descriptions, a lot of times they're going to say that they are looking for someone with 1 to 3 years of experience, which makes it very difficult to qualify ourselves when we are maybe still in grad school, or we just graduated with our degree. And I say grad school just kind of standard, but this also applies to bachelor's level clinicians as well. A lot of times we feel like our internships don't really count as, quote, real experience. But let me tell you, friend, they do. They do. Okay. And maybe you've been told in interviews that you were a good interview, you did a good interview, you were great, but we chose someone else with more experience. Womp womp. Talk about disappointing. Because looking for work is a lot of work. It's a part-time job trying to find a full-time job. It's a lot of work. And also, I just want to also point out that this episode is assuming that you have your degree and the license that's required for the job, only because a lot of jobs, social work jobs particularly, legally, they do require you to have specific degrees. So if you're just not matching the legal requirements, then you got to put in time for that. But I do want to caveat that if they're looking for a certificate, like say a certificate in addictions counseling, there could be the possibility that that employer could cover that certificate cost for you. So I don't want you to count yourself out if they're looking for certificates. Okay. And if they're looking for specific degrees or license, then easy peasy. That's it. Like, you know what you need to do, or you know what you need to work for that. For example, in California, if you want to be a school social worker, you must have that specific school social work degree certification. No way around it. It's just how it is. Okay. So let's hop into it. When we're looking at what experience really means, a lot of times the employers can confuse your readiness with your years. And a lot of times these job descriptions are wish lists, like, we really hope you're going to have 100% of these things, but not requirements. Okay. So when we're talking about what they're saying with experience, right? Experience can really include, it doesn't have to be on the job specific experience. It can include your exposure, your skills in this particular area, your work underneath supervision, your professional studies, your judgment development, like how do you make judgments in these particular situations, and how would you navigate these systems, or have you navigated these systems in the past? Okay. For example, when I applied to work at a transitional housing organization for women who are experiencing homelessness, I had never done this job before in my life. I was not a woman who experienced homelessness, but they asked me a really interesting question during the interview, and they wanted to know if I had any personal experience with addiction. And yeah, I told them about my mother and father, who they went through their struggle with addiction, how it impacted our family, how I was impacted as a child. And this gave me the extra leg in, or that's not the right word, the extra foot in the door, if you will, because it communicated to the owner that I had an exceptional level of empathy and would be exceptionally well suited to help the children of the women who come into this organization, right? It wasn't because I had worked with them, but because I get it. I have a really good idea of what they're going through, and I can empathize in a way that other people just could not, had they not had that same experience or exposure, right? Hey, it's Catherine here. I hope you are enjoying this episode. We're going to take a quick break to listen to these ads from our sponsors. You know, a lot of social workers think their employer's insurance has them covered. But here's the thing, that policy is really there to protect the organization, not you. That's why I always recommend having your own coverage with a trusted organization such as HPSO. Their professional liability insurance is designed for social workers and it follows you wherever you work. It's peace of mind you just can't put a price on. Check them out at hpso.com/swrise. Hey, social workers, are you looking for clinical supervision or hoping to offer it? Check out Rise Directory. It's the national hub connecting associate social workers with licensed clinical supervisors, making it super easy to find your right match in your state. Head over to risedirectory.com and see how it can help you grow in your career. We're really expanding our definition of what it means to have experience. So if when you're applying to jobs and if you have any kind of experience or exposure, this could include, listen up, if you've had internships, practicum, volunteer positions, if you have done any kind of group facilitation for this kind of population, done any kind of community outreach, maybe volunteer or special events in your community, even if you've had personal experiences. For example, if you have the personal experience of helping your parents apply for government assistance, there you go. If you have family looking for, who was maybe applying for legalization, right? There you go. That's personal experience that could help you in a role that could be helping people with immigration challenges. If you have these personal experiences, it is an asset to you. And a lot of times when we're applying for these jobs, it's because like we've been there. Maybe we are a graduate of their program, or we went through a program similar to it, or our parents did, or our neighbors did, or our friends, right? So don't count out your personal experience because that can bring a skill set and a strength that other people may not have. So make sure to give yourself credit for that. Okay. The first real tip that I want to kind of dive into here is we want to be really intentional on how we describe our experience, right? So when you're thinking about your experience, we tend to underestimate what we bring to the table and just say, well, I was just an intern. Oh, I just did this for like 2 months, or I did this one time. No, stop. That counts. Be proud of that because that is experience. And if you are underwhelmed and you're not feeling confident in what you've done, they're not going to be impressed either. Okay. So make sure that you're talking about yourself like your best friend would, right? The best friend who hypes you up and they say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this. That is so amazing that you helped somebody today. And they're able to reframe it in a way that makes you feel so good and say, yeah, I did that. I did that today. So make sure that we are translating your experience in a fair and accurate way. We're not bragging, we're not exaggerating, but we're being fair about what you've done. So for example, if you're applying for a clinical role, you could say something like, I provided supervised clinical services to X population, or I accurately documented services in compliance with my agency standards, or that I collaborated with interdisciplinary teams in order to help clients achieve treatment goals, which you probably have done as an intern. But instead of saying, I was an intern, make sure to really communicate all that you did in an accurate way. And if you need help with this, a lot of times it's beneficial to ask your professor, your clinical supervisor, your field instructor, a colleague, your friend, other people who can reflect back the accurate information and impact that you had while in these roles or even in your personal life by being able to navigate these systems for your parents, for your coworker, for your sibling, for your friend, whoever it might be. All right. Okay. We also want to try to close the experience gap strategically. We're not trying to do more work, but we really want to be intentional on the way that we are able to gain experiences. Okay. So, some ideas that if you do need some more experience, for example, like with groups or with a specific population, here's some ideas to consider and maybe get your creative juices flowing. All right. You can ask for, if you're in an internship or even in your role now at a job, you can ask for a task that helps you to grow, learn more skills, or to get additional skills for your resume. For example, if you're able to shadow a clinician who does a different job than you do or works with a different population than you do, you can see if there is a short-term group that you can run. Maybe there's a ton of different group curriculums out there that have already been established. They have everything that you need, and all you need is the people and that curriculum, and you just read the directions. Okay? That's a simple way to be able to get group experience to grow your resume, right? When you're shadowing the clinician, you're gaining exposure to this type of work, which is so valuable because you're able to see for yourself, is this work that you would want to do? Is this work that you see yourself doing? Is this something that you would want to do for a full-time job? Or is it something that you would just do for right now to get by because we need to work, we got bills to pay? It also allows you to build relationships and experiences with other clinicians, right? You can see if there's any kind of volunteer opportunities in your community to volunteer with this particular group. For example, if I want to start being a case manager for people experiencing homelessness, can I volunteer in that agency with an event that they're doing? Do they have those kind of openings, right? Additionally, you can see if there's any kind of short or skills based trainings for that particular role that you can take that would help to spice up your resume and to show that you are interested and passionate about working with this type of population, right? So these are things that are easily within grasp of your situation and that can really help to strengthen your resume. Next step, we do want to be strategic about what we say in the interviews, right? So if you are worried that they're going to say, oh, you don't have enough experience, one, they probably wouldn't have called you into an interview if they really felt like that. But they're seeing who can be a best fit for that particular role. And you can kind of get ahead of this, right? So if you're kind of thinking this is something that may be a weak point for you, address it head on in the interview and be honest and say, "Hey, I know I'm early in my career. I'm graduating this year or I just graduated in the past year, but I have had supervised experience doing X, Y, and Z, or I have had experience helping people through these systems. And I'm really open to learning. I'm teachable, and I'm excited to contribute to the success of your team, right? The other thing that you might consider to say is something like, I may not know everything yet, but I do know how to consult, how to document, how to learn, how to grow, how to ask questions, right? Insert whatever skill it is that is applicable to that role. So you want to be able to show that you have the self awareness, which is a really big strength. Emphasize that self awareness, and that you have a willingness to learn, which is a huge asset. Not everybody has that, my friend. Not everybody has that. So play that up. Also, too, that you are able and willing to be supervised, and you're asking questions, you're prepared, you're ready for your next step in your career and to grow, right? So, next tip. I know that when you're looking at these job descriptions, you say, oh, I don't meet two of these qualifications, so I'm just not going to apply. That happens all the time. It happened to me too, my friend, until I saw the statistic. You need to apply to jobs where even if you meet 60% of the qualifications, apply. Because people who are most successful in their job search, they meet 60% of those qualifications. So just go ahead and apply. Especially if it's something that you really want, that you're really passionate about, apply and let them decide whether you're qualified or not. Because a lot of agencies hire for a good fit and the potential for your growth. These job postings describe an ideal candidate, but a lot of times, and especially depending on where you're at, employers can be real desperate. I've seen it happen where they will hire like literally anybody. So don't hold yourself back. Don't discount yourself, and don't disqualify yourself, right? Because we usually tend to underestimate how ready we are. So go ahead and apply. Next, I want to talk about if we get rejected for a job, right? If they do go with someone else, that's okay, okay? I know it sucks. I know it feels terrible. And I know it can really impact your self esteem. But believe me, rejection is not the same thing as being incompetent. Hiring decisions are a lot more about their budget, the timing, internal candidates, staffing needs, more than they are about you, right? So a lot of times we take it personally and we think, oh, I messed up, or they didn't like me, right? A lot of times it has nothing to do with you. Nothing. It's just systematic challenges that have nothing to do with you. All right. So don't personalize what is logistical or systematic failure. All right. So those are my tips that I have for you. If you have further questions, or if you think that I missed something, you can go ahead and message me on Instagram. I'm there at Social Workers Rise. I like this topic, and this was a topic that was brought up by one of my followers on Instagram. And it reminded me, like, yeah, this is a challenge that most social workers face in their career. I know that I faced it. And my bonus tip for you is to keep networking. So when people know that you're looking for employment, they may know people. So what happened when I went from my 2 part-time jobs to my first full-time job as a bachelor student is the person who hired me knew my current manager, and they knew each other. And they knew that they did good work. And so she hired me because she knew of my manager. So your manager may have either growth opportunities for you at your place of employment, or they may know other managers in the community who are also looking for someone with your skill set. So again, don't count yourself out. Utilize your resources. Ask the people that you know and who know you well and who can vouch for your professionalism and your ability for growth. All right. If this episode was at all helpful for you, go ahead and text it to a friend. Also, remember to subscribe to the Social Workers Rise podcast so you don't miss an episode. If you really like this episode and want to give me a shout out, leaving a review on the podcast apps helps so much. Even if it's something short and simple like, I love listening because it helps me grow in my career, right? That goes a long way in helping this episode show up for other people who are in your situation and who need this information too, because we don't want to be gatekeepers around here, right? If you want more updates from me, go ahead and subscribe to the Social Workers Rise email list. And if you are looking for additional resources for clinical documentation, go ahead and check out the course that I have, the Clinical Essentials for the Future Therapist. If you're looking for a supervisor, check out risedirectory.com. And stay tuned because I'm trying to brew up a membership community for people who are like you and who are looking for additional ways for support and growth and confidence in their clinical skills. So I'm still developing what this looks like. But if that's something that you're interested in, stay tuned. Definitely join the email list that is in the show notes so you can get more information when that is coming out. All right. Thank you so much. That is the end of the episode, and I will talk to you next time.